of course, you want to be playing. Is this break kind of at a good time when you're trying to integrate guys and get a little bit of time to work on some stuff?
Yeah, it's a little longer than I wanted it to be, and also just I felt like there was a lot of opportunity for us in the Vancouver game that we didn't take advantage of, and that left us out of the tournament. So that's frustrating and something that we certainly have to clean up. But this does give us a window of time to, like you said, to integrate 4 new players essentially, and get a couple guys who are carrying little things back to some level of health, and to try to integrate maybe a few things also that we want to try to do down the stretch or do better down the stretch. This gives us an opportunity to really to work on that, to train it, stuff like that. So yes, today was a kind of a product of that. Tomorrow we'll play a little bit, trying to keep our rhythm. That's one of the things in this window, just about not having games, is trying to organize the right amount of game time, if you will, 11v11, to make sure that we keep a rhythm and intensity and the right match fitness types of things. So we think we have a decent plan, good plan for all of that. So we're going to make the best out of it. That's the goal.
Will that be an intra-squad game?
We'll do a little bit of that tomorrow. Then we're working on communicating with some clubs for maybe a friendly or something next weekend that gives us that kind of that weekend to weekend sort of rhythm that we want to have.
And if you're integrating forward, does that mean Alfaro's fully integrated?
Yeah, I mean, he's been around the group for a couple of weeks. I don't know if I would say he's fully integrated. Today was another good day for just him to get a lot of repetitions. But he's also going to be integrating with Maya, who is now integrating into the group. Chris was in and out due to, I think, suspension and stuff, so getting him back into the group. So, little things. I mean, there's always reintegrating guys in for one reason or another. So, yeah, I guess I was thinking that about Tony, but you make a good point. He hasn't been here all that long. So.
What was the deadline day like for you, Greg? You ended up bringing in a lot of new pieces, but did you get what you wanted out of the day?
Yeah, really happy with how it transpired. We, by virtue of what we're doing now in terms of our scouting department, in terms of the team that we have to get players in and to work our different mechanisms, of which we were limited to only a couple in this particular window. We had our targets. When you're working inside the league, you're at the mercy of clubs being willing to let guys go or to be willing to move guys. But we were able to get, I thought, just a really good core group of guys that can help us this year, but also can play a role for us next year. I mean, obviously, starting with Maya, you bring in a ton of experience in the back, a guy who's played at a high level, been a captain at multiple teams. True professional in every sense. I mean, everyone we spoke to about him just raved about him as a player, as a captain, as a leader, as a human. So we're really pleased about that, because we think experience and the back line and some of that leadership is something that can help our group. And then Diego, who's scored over 60 goals and 40 assists, I think, in our league, is a proven guy who's been here for 10 or 12 years, but he's still only 28. So. He fits our style. I think, coming from Austin, which plays a similar type of game as us, I think he'll integrate quickly into our group, and he brings a little bit more, proven goal presence from the wide position, but also provides us with, depth, more guys, more options. As we lost some guys, we've got to replenish with some guys that can help us. Edwin, really happy about Edwin, obviously with Gaston going down, but even prior to Gaston going down, we were looking at adding another defensive midfielder, which could have maybe freed up Gaston to play a little bit higher. Udi, I thought, played a fantastic game, but this gives us another, up-and-coming defensive midfielder who I think really understands the position, who understands our style. I think, again, coming from a Dallas and the way they play, he understands the pivot role and has a great education for it. So we're excited. Again, these are good pieces for us that I think fit to what we're trying to do. And Michael Barrios brings us a little bit of quickness and speed and some directness in the front line. And he can play inside as a 9. He can play wide. He can do a couple different things. But it gives us a little bit of that dynamic runner, if you will, on the front line that sometimes we have a lot of guys who want the ball at their feet. He'll break for the depth. He'll try to get behind, and if he does, you're not going to catch him. So it gives us some quality, but also a little bit of speed. So again, I think that's outlining everybody, but again, I think under the circumstances and with the group, we get a lot of guys who know our league and won't take a lot of time to integrate because they know the league, but also bring special qualities to the group that our group needs, I believe. And it gives us depth. It gives us, I think it makes us better. And we have 12 important games in front of us that we gotta compete one at a time to try to put ourselves in a good position down the stretch.
Is everybody here?
In terms of
arrived yet? I know Diego's here and Maya's here.
Edwin and Michael will be here Sunday. So Diego's going to go back home, regroup a little bit, get his stuff together. He's got I think like a 1 week or 2 week old baby that they're managing at home. So he came out quickly just to meet everybody and kind of get the feel for things, and then he's going to go home, pack himself up and come back. The other guys, by virtue of the timing of it all, it just didn't make sense for them to come in for 1 day and then go back and get themselves together. They'll get themselves together and come out. So
and Maya was already out here anyway.
Yeah, Maya was already here in terms of visitor visa and just doing all of the different things, the physicals and all that kind of stuff that he needed to do. And now we're just waiting for his actual visa to.
He doesn't have to leave the country again?
I don't believe so, but I don't know that for sure.
In the case of Maya, you talked about it, having his leadership, captain Japan at the World Cup. With Martin Cáceres going down and kind of losing that presence when you have a lot of under 23 guys in the back line, how important was his addition from that leadership aspect?
Yeah, I mean, very. It's he and what we're doing today and what we're going to be trying to do in the next couple of weeks is getting his voice present in the back, getting him to know everybody and to be able to communicate. He speaks multiple languages. So it's fantastic. Again, his experience, his ability to play outside of himself and communicate to others. And as you said, we have some young guys in the back that I think it'll help out, but we can also put some experienced guys around him and do that as well. But again, I think, as you said, losing the experience of Martin, I wouldn't say Martin is a huge communicator, but he was a very, very good defender and smart. Our hope is Maya, based on everything that we know about him and have heard, that he'll bring another voice also, in addition to his knowledge of the position and all that, but bring another voice to the back line. So, but it's important that we integrate him during this period so that he has the clear mind and the relationships on the field to be able to start to do that.
It's a plus that he speaks English too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's his capacity to communicate both on and in the play and outside of the play in multiple languages, specifically in English during the play, is going to be super helpful, and to the guys in front of him and things like that. So it's certainly beneficial.
One of the things that I've always liked about Barrios is he's fast and he makes those direct runs, but he's also can be a little bit nasty.
Yeah.
He brings that side to it, which is something that I think sometimes this club has missed.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he is. I feel like he's a good soccer player. B, he has that speed and quickness, and I think he's relentless about it. But I also think he's a fighter in there. Somebody who'll fight to hold up balls or fight to get through the next line or whatever. But he will certainly compete from that level and always has. And I mean, again, talk about another guy who scored 40+ goals inside of our league. Between he and Diego, that's 100 goals inside of our league that we haven't had prior to right now. So we like to think that will translate into something in terms of the final actions for us as well.
Yeah, well, his runs as well. Although he's good at running into that, he's also good at running and pulling defenders away. That gives your strikers maybe a little bit better chance to.
No, I know that's exactly. I mean, it's one of the things we talked about today is we tend to bail out in certain moments of our attacks that don't make it easy for us to finish our attacks. That's where I felt like we let ourselves down a little bit in the Vancouver game is, we were able to play through their lines, we were able to get deep into attacks, but in the moment when we need to accelerate and go through the lines, we tend to pull out and look for it at our feet. It takes the pressure off of the defending team. We don't overload the back line. We actually end up 3 against 4 instead of 5 against 4. And we make it too easy for the opposition to manage that last phase of our attacks. When, if you look at the goal, Tyler gets inside, he runs out, he adds another player to the box. Lucas gets around. It ends up 2 guys in front of the goal, the trailing player, the weak side winger, and the fullback who's hitting the cross. Now all of a sudden you have numbers attacking the back line. You create some space in between the lines, and we score. And I think those types of scenarios could have been over and over in that game until they were adjusted and wanted to press us, and then we might have had to adapt. But in the first half, I thought there was so much opportunity that we let go. and we can't afford to do that.
With the additions of Fagundes and Barrios, like you talked about, do you feel like this is looking at the depth chart at that position, do you feel like this is the best depth you guys have had since you've been here in that area?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have some options. We have some experience. Again, the know-how and the guys who've been successful inside of the league, who understand the different challenges that exist, whether it be in different stadiums and different environments, but also have been successful inside of our league. That helps us, bringing a little bit of experience inside of there. We bring a balance between that speed and quality with Diego, who also has a relentlessness about the way he wants to attack, but he has fantastic timing in his movements, and he's very good at combining with guys. So again, I think we have a nice group that will make a good run at this at the end of it, and guys who I don't believe will take a lot of time to integrate because they know the league. Sometimes when you get guys from outside the league, it does take a little time, but I think this group will pick it up and hopefully be flying right off the bat.
Getting through the ban now, do you think you're finally headed in the right direction, you think?
Yeah, I do, because again, I think, one of the things that we wanted to do in this window is add to our core group of players. Knowing that when you have the ban, it's sometimes hard to really instigate any big moves because not a lot of those players are available unless you are willing to pay a transfer fee, work with another club, take them on loan, things like that. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to add to our core group and make sure that we're getting better, and we're also continuing to set ourselves up as this roster continues to build and evolve. And I think we did both of those things in this window under challenging circumstances. And so I think we've both set ourselves up for the short term, but I think we've also set ourselves up for the next window or two to continue to progress as a group and get better. And then you can't calculate entirely for losing guys. When you lose 3-4 guys on season-ending types of stuff, then there's a catch between filling gaps, but also trying to make the team better so that on the other side of it, you're still taking steps forward. And I think we did all of those things in a very smart way.
The updates on Gaston?
He'll have surgery on, I believe it's Monday. He had an abrasion on that same knee, and so they didn't want to do the surgery right off the bat until that heals because you just have risk of infection and stuff like that. So they had to pause for a week. So we'll have more information. The likelihood is it's going to be something for the rest of the season. That's the possibility. That's the possibility because it's they call it bucket handle tear, and if it's big enough to sort of impede the knee, this is very amateur doctor, right? But if it's big enough, then they have to repair it, and you have to repair it. It takes time. But if it's small enough, then you can just clip it, and then you can be ready in 3-4 weeks. And because it created some impingement that stopped some of the range of motion of the knee, the anticipation is probably going to be bigger rather than smaller, which means it has to be repaired, which means 3-4 months, probably 4 months. Yeah.
Greg, could you comment on?
I'm sorry.
No.
Mark is getting close. He's been training off and on, where he still has some discomfort in certain movements. So we just want to take this time period to try to get him through that and not push through it too fast. But he's coming along properly. He'll be ready, I think, but I would fully expect him to be ready by the time we restart. So.
Could you comment on maybe people like Will Kuntz, Mikey Stevens, how involved they were in acquiring these players as well?
Yeah, everyone's involved. The way we work is, it's my responsibility to create the vision for the team, the vision for the positions and the players that we want to try to go out and get. When I say vision, these are the roles and responsibilities. This is the profile of the player, generally speaking, that we need to add to our group. Their work is then to make an entire big world, but now our league also, into a much smaller space in which we have primary targets that we can go after. Then the question is, when you have those primary targets, can you actually make a deal with some of those teams or clubs or whatever, of which that then goes into sort of their bucket is, can there be a deal or not? And then it comes back around to me to say, yes, this is our guy, let's get it done because there is a deal to be made. So everyone did a great job. Again, it requires, under the constraints and the conditions that we had, you have a very small sample size of players that you can actually get to, right? If you're talking about free agents, of which there's only so many out there, and then you're talking about working inside the league, of which there's not a ton of trades that happen inside the league anymore. It's pretty There are some, but it's not like it once used to be when trades were kind of the real way you move people around. But now there's just not a ton. And so I think everyone did a great job of working the phones, having conversations, looking at players, narrowing our options down, and then committing to and finding the right ways to get it done. With also, with respect to everything that was done in I thought a financially responsible way that gives us still a lot of capacity as we move into the next windows to keep building this team. I thought we did a really nice job of, for lack of better words, getting great players at frugal rates, in my opinion. So I thought it was really, really good work by everybody.
How does it impact you in terms of allocation money?
Not bad. I mean, we still picked up some money at the beginning of the year from the Julian sale, so we still have majority of that sitting for us, plus the funds that come into play next year, plus our options that we have through the club. So we're sitting in a positive position to be aggressive in the winter window as well. And so I think, like I said, I thought it was by everybody. I thought everyone did a great job of working together to be intelligent, to help the team now, but also to make sure that we keep ourselves ready for the next one.
Are you expecting some sort of change next year, sort of maybe more allocation money with working clubs, or some of the mechanisms that build rosters out there?
It's tough to say. I mean, I feel momentum in the league that there's certainly discussions about what that might look like. You feel the momentum in Miami, and you feel the momentum around the league to capitalize on a couple things. One is the World Cup coming, the other is Messi coming and what that can do. And so I do feel like and understand that there is a lot of discussions about what does that look like, and is it next year, or when is it gonna be? But I do think that there is certainly dialogue around that. I just don't know. We don't know yet if it's going to be 6 months from now, starting in 2024. Many things are going to shift on that side. There are natural raises in some of that stuff that were already pre-planned in the original CBA and planning, of which we take into consideration. But there may or may not be something bigger than that we're not just fully aware of yet. So. I'm hopeful. We'll take anything that they want to put out there. We'll take it, and we'll try to we'll utilize it. So.
The additions, any major tactical changes that they may bring? May it change the way you line up?
I don't think it's anything too significant. For us, we have some in-game sort of rotations that might shift things, but I don't think you see too many significant changes inside of our structure, if you will. Mm-hmm. I think for us, it's about the personnel, the execution, things like that.
Specific things.
Exactly, specific qualities that they can bring to the group that I feel like can help us take another step.
Just kind of add a dimension to it all.
Yeah, exactly.
Any other possible of a free agent you guys could be able to acquire, or is this maybe it for now?
We are remaining open. So we've been looking at a couple different possibilities, but they're super outside possibilities. So we'll see. And again, I think at this point they've either got to be really short-term options that don't impact us next year, or guys that we really see as a part of our group going forward. Because I think that the work that has been done has been really smart in this window, and so now it's unless they can really change us for the next 12 games and/or are part of our planning for beyond 2023 and into 24 in the future, then, which again, there's just so few options when you're talking about that it makes it really difficult. But we're always keeping our eyes open, and the guys are constantly looking at players. So we'll see what happens. But
yeah, you got to keep some aside for when you make your Mbappe move next year.
Yes, I heard he would come for about $1 million TAM. No,
might be able to get him for that. You might have to pay another 60 million or something.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the interesting part. If you want to get into some of it, just how the transfer market is going to be impacted by all of these different things. Not just it's the Saudi money that brings players over, but it's also how teams are going to use the Saudi money and how that's going to impact the greater market on a trickle down sort of impact, right?
What prices continue to
Yeah,
ride.
so it's you know, it still remains to be seen what the overall impact of something like that is for, you know, a league like ours that has some constraints in some ways, and how that's going to impact even our ability to do certain things.